Bitcoin is down over 3% today. And in this video, I want to go ahead and spell out what happened, what we can tell from the spot market and the derivatives market as well, and what is going to be happening to the Bitcoin price for the rest of the week. Hello there, I'm Cody the Coin Raptor, and if this is the first time you're joining me, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, and be sure to follow me on Twitter and Threads. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is a very interesting story that came out on the Wall Street Journal. Now, you'll notice this story here basically alleges that, or says that the SEC alleges that some of the trading volume on Binance.us was faked. Okay, they've said basically that they've inflated these trade volumes by buying and selling within the company itself in order to make it look like there was trading going on. Now, what's interesting about this article, which is obviously very negative, especially towards Binance, is that it was published this morning here at about 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you take a look at our chart TA here, at the 1 minute chart, you can see here at about 5:50 Eastern Time, we had a huge whale dump going on here. Over 200 Bitcoin was sold at that specific point in time, about 20 minutes or so after the article was released. So I think what happened here is that a whale or somebody read this article and they decided to sell off of that news. Now, what's also interesting about that is that this big sell-off that we had, that which pushed the Bitcoin price all the way down here to about 29K, also resulted in a fairly large amount of long liquidations as well on the derivative side. If you go over here, take a look at our contracts, what we can see is that we had a liquidation of about $30 million of longs during about that time period, in which you see the massive red candle here. Now, if you take a look at the subsequent reaction, after that point, what we're seeing here is the open interest is rising from about the day prior. So we're seeing more contracts being opened. Now, you're starting to see, if you take a look at your funding rate, which kind of shows us the measure of longs versus shorts, it's green, which means longs are dominant. However, you're seeing open interest go up, which is a sign that more shorts are entering the market. So at about here or so, I'd say about this 2100 here to about 5 or so, we saw a large amount of shorts being entered. Now, this is basically as Bitcoin came down here and fell through that 29K level, you saw shorts pile into this area right here. And then you saw longs retake, and longs immediately entered into some new positions around here. And now we're kind of flat trading sideways for a little bit. So that massive whale sell caused a significant number of long liquidations in the derivative space, which caused also increased volatility and pushed the price all the way down here to about 28K to about 28,800. Now, what's interesting about this is that on my recent chart TA, I said, let me put this back up here. I said that based on the levels that we saw here, if we were to come down below this vital resistance, this vital support here at about 29,700, it's very possible that we see the Bitcoin price come down to 28K. So we've already started to see a little bit of that. It came all the way down here to about 28.8. It bounced off of that level, and for now, it's kind of holding around 29,000. However, I think that what we're likely to see here in the future is it's going to come down and it's going to retest somewhere near this 28,400 level or so, maybe a little even below that or so. It could definitely come down to this level right here. And if it does come down to this level, I am definitely interested in buying at this level. Now, there's a lot of things going on this week. In my last video I talked about all the events happening this week, including big tech earnings, and on top of that, the FOMC on Wednesday. And it's entirely possible that we could see even more volatility, and we could even see a very quick bounce back up here to the support, which is now resistance here at about 29.7. I'm going to change this here to red to symbolize resistance. It's very possible that we can get a bounce all the way back up to this point and maybe even exceed it off of bullish news. So this week is extremely uncertain because the chart itself is saying we're headed lower. But the problem is that there are events happening this week that could actually push us much higher as well. So this week is kind of a gamble. No idea on how these things are going to go. If Jerome Powell comes out in the press conference and he's more dovish than he's been in the past, then we could see Bitcoin rise along with the rest of the markets. Or if he's always talking about the more rate hikes and higher for longer, we could definitely see a further push down on the Bitcoin price. Bitcoin right now is not overbought. It is not oversold. The RSI, the Relative Strength Index, is about 42, so it has room to move in either direction from here. So be warned. This week, this is just the beginning of the volatility that we're going to see for this week. Now, we covered the derivatives. I also want to go ahead and talk about the liquidation levels as well, because we've actually moved away from from being closer to the short liquidation levels with today's move, and we are moving much closer to the very small amount of long liquidations here. These little blue bars right here. And you don't really start to run into these until about 28.8, but they're tiny positions. And then the biggest position here is about 27.7. So if we do get below 28K, expect that we're going to wind up seeing a significant number of long liquidations. But even then, it's nothing compared to basically the short liquidations or even the long liquidations at about 25.5 and below 25,500. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at our total crypto liquidations for today, we can see that there's 130 million crypto liquidations for today on the long side, and we've just seen prices across the board come down. The last time we had something this high was back on the 13th of July, in which we saw a similar move from the price go from 31.4 all the way down to about 30,300. Okay, now what's also very interesting about Bitcoin is Glassnode posted on Twitter about the increasing number of long-term holder supply. So they're saying 14.5 million Bitcoin as part of their what they call long-term holder supply, which is coins that are held in wallets for greater than 155 days. They are at an equivalent to 75% of the circulating supply. Now that is very impressive. That is the HODLing at its finest right now. We're seeing epic proportions of HODLing, and there are so many longs that are holding their positions and saying, I'm not selling. And this is really important because if Bitcoin continues to head downwards, we will eventually find a bit of a cushion in which there basically will be no one left to sell, okay? And then after that point, you have nothing but upwards momentum, okay? Now, I also want to go ahead and cover Ethereum as well. So Ethereum, what we're seeing here is it popped down just like Bitcoin did today. However, the move wasn't as big. It came all the way down here to about the 1830 level, and it bounced off of that level. Now it's at about 1850, and now it's kind of in the trading range here between that 1830 level here and then the resistance here at about 1858. I'm going to change this here to resistance, okay? And this is the 1850 level. With Ethereum, same thing as Bitcoin. The RSI is not pointing to oversold nor overbought, so it has plenty of room to move in either direction. And especially if we get some bullish news this week, we could really see Ethereum fly as well, because Ethereum is much more volatile than Bitcoin and has larger moves. All right? So last thing I want to cover, again, Wednesday is the FOMC decision, okay? And Fed Chair Jerome Powell is also going to give his press conference as well. All right, follow this information. It's going to be a crazy day. I'm going to cover that information as best as possible, and we will see the aftermarket moves from his comments on the charts, and I'll do a post on Twitter and on Threads about my thoughts on it. Okay? So that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this. Are you guys happy about having the long-term holder supply finally reach a new all-time high? Is that a good sign, right? And what do you guys think about liquidity maps? Do you think that Binance US faked its trading volume, or if this is just FUD from the Wall Street Journal? I will see you guys in the next video.